How does a British strip club differentiate from an American strip club?
I think the women are better looker than over here.
What was it like working with Ultimate Warrior?
I was so green that I didn't know enough to know how bad he was. Warrior had his own dressing room. Warrior would come in and take the biggest one. He had security guys at his door. You were not allowed to talk to him. Sid quit. Vince says, who do we got? Got any steam? They said, the only one's got any steam is Papa Shango. That was the downfall of Papa Shango. I got thrown to the Warrior.
Which wrestler was the most enjoyable on the smoke train?
Believe it or not, most of those guys back then were pillheads. They weren't smokers. Teddy Long, he was a big, most of the guys stayed away from me when it came to smoking because they like, God, one time I was with Godfather, most of the guys didn't smoke with me.
And where would you be in relation to RVD?
I smoke a lot more than RVD, but he'll tell you that. But that's not a bad thing. I actually think I got issues. I smoke a lot. It makes me more, I never get tired. It makes me more creative. It makes me want to do stuff. It's the best thing in the world for me. It's not the best thing in the world for a lot of other people, but for me, it works very well. So I stay medicated. And it hasn't caused a problem yet.
Somebody asks here, did you ever get an offer to go to WCW?
Yes.
What happened?
Kevin Nash, Scott Hall called me like, hey, man, we want to bring you into the NWO. And they said, we're going to make you the bodyguard. And for the first year, you're just going to be a bodyguard, and then you can break off and do some wrestling. So I'm like, okay, this is just before I had to resign as Godfather. And so I'm like, well, all right. So I throw some numbers at them, and they say, yeah, I think we can do that. And I'm like, oh. I mean, I threw these high numbers at them. They were throwing money around back then, WCW. And I threw these high numbers. I'm like, they're not going to say it. And then he's like, yeah, they'll do that. I'm like, wow. So now I'm waiting. They're not calling me. I call Scott. He's not answering. I call Kevin. He's not answering. All of a sudden, I turn on the TV, and I see Virgil as the bodyguard for the NWO. I'm not going to mention no names, Hogan. But somebody in that group decided, why pay this guy that much when I can pay this guy a lot less and he's just the bodyguard anyway. So I resigned with WWE as Godfather, and I think I made the right decision. But yeah, I was supposed to be in the NWO.
If you had signed with WCW, because I mean, with Virgil, it was just kind of a job or gimmick. They didn't do anything with him. Do you think if it had been you, it would have been?
I wouldn't have let them done that to me. No. So that's probably another reason they made Virgil is what he is. He's clownable. I'm not. I won't put up with it. I'd be like, no, you're not gonna clown me like that.
Somebody wants to know, do you have any stories or memories from SummerSlam '92 at Wembley Stadium?
Just a good time, man. We were in the clubs, man. Just a lot of drinking, you forget a lot of stuff. And we had a great time. There was a lot of people. I remember being in the ring and everybody taking pictures of all the people and stuff. It was just a great time.
I can't believe I'm going to ask this. How does a British strip club differentiate from an American strip club?
I think the women are better looker than over here. I don't go to strip clubs anymore. I know some of the guys went out last night. I don't have interest anymore in that. I put my time in strip clubs.
Yeah, you've earned your stripes. Michael wants to know, have you ever been in a feud with someone you didn't like, and if so, how hard was it?
Never. There's nobody I didn't like. I might have had guys I didn't hang out with, but there was nobody I didn't like. See, back then, wrestling was different back then. Back then, we were actually a family. And even though I didn't care for you and my family, if we were in a bar and we got in a fight, I'd have your back. Okay, it's not like that anymore. Now it's a business, and you can get further now by having a lot of likes and followers than you can with anything. It's just the business has changed, but yeah.
What was it like working with Ultimate Warrior in 1992?
I was so green that I didn't know enough to know how bad he was. But I'm one of the few guys that says nice things about him. He was cool with me, you know.
Why do you think people are so negative on him?
He brought a lot of that on himself. See, back then, Warrior had his own dressing room. He had limo service. Warrior and Hogan had limo service, meaning wherever they went, they had a limo to take them. Nobody else had that. And so Macho was mad about that, too. So Macho, what a great guy he was. So Warrior would come in and take the biggest, if there was 3 dressing rooms, he would take the biggest one. And then Hogan would come in and take the smallest one. It would leave 30 guys, this middle one, when Ultimate Warrior's in, is just running back and forth like a fool, you know. And he had security guys at his door. You were not allowed to talk to him. He was the type of guy that 4 of you, we got to rent a car, there's 4 of us, and we're broke down, and he's in a limo, and he would just wave at you as he went by. He's that type of guy. So he, you know, it is what it is, but he brought a lot of that on himself.
And when you're doing that program with him, because obviously he was supposed to work with Sid leaves, it's you and him. I mean, that segment where you're putting the voodoo curse on him, which is just a joy to watch now and watch it back. I mean, what was it like? Because he was mental at the best of times. And then you were a voodoo guy, so I guess it kind of fit that you guys would be together on TV.
We were never meant to be together like that. Sid quit, and somebody told me exactly how the conversation went. When Sid quit, Vince says, "Who do we got? Got any steam?" They said, "Only one's got any steam, it's Papa Shango." So that was the downfall of Papa Shango. I got thrown to the Warrior. Okay, then from the Warrior, I went to, you know, Undertaker. Then they just threw me to the next guy, and then Bret Hart or whatever. But that was it. I was wrestling Tito Santana and beating him in 5 minutes every night. And I went from that to wrestling him. And so that was the end of Papa Shango, because that was never supposed to happen. It wasn't supposed to go into no main events. It was just something they threw in there to keep things alive until they figured out what they were going to do.
And I mean, in terms of that segment where he has all the black goo and all that, I mean, how did they do that in 1992? It was a pretty...
He had on, if you guys remember, he had on a jacket, a Warrior jacket. And they had this stuff in his pocket, and it ran up his back, and then it ran up his hair, and then it had, you know, they worked it. And he'd put his hand in the pocket. When it was time to ooze, he would squeeze it. And that's how they did it. And he would squeeze it, and it would start coming down. That's how they all did it. And then they start lighting people on fire, all type of stuff. I was the first person that they ever turned the lights all off on. They never did that before me. And they were afraid to do it because somebody gets hurt, some this and that. And they needed to do it because at that point they were lighting people's feet on fire and stuff. So they had to turn the lights off for somebody to cut under the ring and light the guy on fire. So that's and then now everybody does it.